Well, we finally met all four of the Knights of Prophecy. What a shame. Donnie, Nasiens, and I'm afraid your time to be statistically relevant is over. Thank you to our $5 patron, Sinners Lancelot, Artgoon, and Praise the Sun. A big thank you to our $25 patron, the Mr. Greed. Now, before we hop into this breakdown and ranking of the original main cast of Fortnite the Apocalypse and who is the mightiest, please give leave your own list in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you aren't already. Also, make use of that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do a Patreon down below where you can support for as little as $1 a month. Any support would be appreciated. Now, let's get into the ranking. What's up, guys? I've got the pencil here, and here we are to rank the original forecast, the original forecast, but the original characters, the original main characters of the Fortnite the Apocalypse story. Notably, I think none of the knights are here, all four of them, in fact. I don't see Nakaba really paying attention, at least power-wise, to our main cast anymore. I think this back 50 or so chapters of the narrative was the point where we got to see all our main casts do their best fighting feats, unless Nakaba really wants to blow me away and keep them relative and relevant in that case. So, let's hop into the ranking. I think it's a pretty basic ranking, but I know there's going to be some contention on who's on the bottom and who's on the top, but let's hop right into it with number 5. Now, notably, I hate to do this to her, but you know why she's at the bottom. Notably, it's not like Anne's a weak character. I mean, she's not that weak. I mean, No, I'm kidding. Anne is actually a decently strong combatant. She has amazing sword skills, but the thing that she really lacks that really makes me be like, I gotta put you at the bottom, her magic is just useless. I'm not gonna lie, her magic is useless against anyone who's not an illusionist, and if the illusionist has any form of hands, and is still likely gonna lose that. Well, no, maybe not, but at least in terms of relative to her group, she is, while likely arguably the physically strongest outside the top 2, she doesn't have anything to make up for her lack of magic. People above her have magics that can either instantly take her out of a fight or buff themselves and then take her out of a fight, and they can do this instantaneously. There's no delay in between it. And notably, the people above her either have the raw power to completely negate her skill or possibly have comparable skill, which is now supplemented by the fact that they have magic that they can use, which she just doesn't have an answer to. And notably, her feats, unfortunately, are the least impressive within the narrative. The only fight she's technically won one-on-one, and that wasn't even really a one-on-one, was Bergie. And that's because Bergie wasn't a physical combatant. She got her weapon luckily knocked away by Anne being knocked into her, and then Anne managed to use her sword skills to beat a non-combatant. Sure, she kept up with a distracted Ironside and managed to land a cut on him, but notably this is an Ironside who wasn't taking any of them seriously, who was focusing and siphoning a whole ton of his energy into the Cauldron of Eternal Darkness, and was fighting with one hand while not even looking at her. So, as cool as that cut is, and as much as that did, in order to get the poison into him, it's not a real feat that I can give to Anne and be like, bam, relative to Ironside. And who else has Anne fought? She fought Bergie and Ironside. She helped against Elgin, but overall, she got one nick on Elgin. But to be fair, that's because Elgin was getting jumped. So I can't give her too much points for there. And once again, it's just the magic. That's the thing. I would give her higher. I would give her more points. I'd give her more street cred, if you will, if she had a more viable, more functional magic that can be applied in combat scenarios. But her truth magic or her sightseer magic, it just isn't. It's not useful enough. Not yet. If it gets to some sort of magical evolution, then it'll be different. But for right now, she has nothing feat-wise that puts her above, and there's no hypothetical arguments that could give her to put her above. So, unfortunately, in the end, it just doesn't even matter. I'm sorry, Anne. You number 5. Enough of that, though. Let's hop into number 4. Now, I hate to do this to best boy, bro. It's got to be Nasiens. Here's the thing with Nasiens, right? I do believe an Ceranos Amp Nasiens could be Anne. I do believe a Nasiens that randomly pulls out Belladonna can be Anne. And I think Nasiens, due to him being able to straight 1v1 Elgin after he got his amps in, meanwhile Anne only got a cut on him while jumping him, yeah, and obviously he also has access to Wither now, and Wither is snapped. And the only reason Nasiens isn't any higher is because I don't think any of the people above him have. Well, no, I think the people above him have ways to either negate his poison magic, and or they're just too fast for him. Like, he could just get blitzed. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, remember what Elgin said. Elgin was like, huh, you are comparable in skill to that woman, but she just has more raw strength than you do. You're just physically weak, but you're skilled. So anything that Nasiens can do to cover that gap, such as, popping out a wither here or there, popping some Cyrano's horn, like anything to buff himself will easily make him better than that. And you could even argue, I will admit, you could very readily argue that the person above Nasiens could hypothetically be lower than him with a Cyrano's amp plus wither plus, but this is the weird thing, right? In a base to base fight between Anne and Nasiens, I'm still giving it to Nasiens because he has so many hacks that Anne really can't escape. Like, she's not going to be able to run out of the poison cloud quick enough, and she's going to need to breathe. Meanwhile, everyone above Nasiens in a 1v1 fight has something that they can either use to negate any effects that poison or would have on them, would be able to overwhelm Nasiens even if he got the Cyrano's amp up, or could literally just keep tossing him away. Like, literally just keep him out of range, like, without any issue at all. So I don't really see it. And the people above him either have comparable skill, or once again, same thing with Anne, too much raw power to actually put him down, or too much raw power to actually keep Nasiens relevant. Even with the Cyrano's amp, I do believe the people above him, if a need be, like, they could pull up and just, get rid of him and or just overwhelm him. And that's unfortunate because Nasiens is his best boy. But in the same vein, like, I can see arguments for switching 4 and 3 on this list. Like, I can definitely see him personally. Man, even because of me going with them on the king, like, you catch me on the street, I may just argue for 4 being over 3. But regardless, due to the recent amps that 3 got, I'm gonna have to give it to 3. But enough speaking vaguely about 3. Let's hop into number 3. Yeah, it's Donnie. And notably, pre his amp, I would have had Anne beating. Like, probably. Like, I would have had Anne beating him. I probably would definitely have Nasiens beating him. Like, the raw hacks that Nasiens opened up around start with are really, really good. But the thing with Donnie is, right, he's actually a really good combatant. Like, look at Doorknock and realize that Donnie fought him off 1v1. Like, that was straight, boom. Like, he flipped the dagger and was just swagging him. And that was pre-amp. The only reason Doorknock even started to get the upper hand is because he started to use magic. He just went boom, boom, and bada bing, bada boom. Donnie couldn't deal with that. However, now that he is awakened, he managed to send Doorknock flying. And, like, Doorknock was a mountain of a man. That dude was, 3 burgies tall and about 4 inches wide? Like, that man was a beast. But that didn't stop Donnie from straight yeet, and then whoop, like, he sent that man flying. That's a better feat than any of them have. Like, even amped Nasiens didn't send Elgin, a person who's like a fifth of Doorknock's size, flying. He just managed to neg him. Meanwhile, Donnie not only managed to neg him, but he actually sent him boom, and that was with no debuffs. That was Doorknock base. Meanwhile, Nasiens managed to get a debuffed Elgin up out of here. So, honestly, Donnie's got the feats, he's got the magic, he's got the skill, and once again, for the 1v1 matchups, I actually do think, and you may call me crazy for this, but I do think that Anne and Donnie are comparable in just raw skill. Like, the amount of talent, and, well, not even just talent, literally just raw skill and training that Donnie underwent and developed with training with Hauser allowed him to beat Doorknock at first. Like, that was just straight sword to sword, blade to blade combat. There was nothing fancy about that. There was no magic involved, and Doorknock is once again like 7 Donnies big. So honestly, there's no excuse for that. Donnie just did what he could do using his own raw strength and speed and skill. That's something that Anne may be able to do, but I don't know. I kind of doubt it. I think that matchup was Donnie specific. At the same time, even if you want to give Anne that slight edge in skill, what you gonna do from getting thrown? Like all Donnie needs to do is put his hand in her general direction and zoom, like, throw her like he threw Doorknock. And if he could, once again, if he could throw Doorknock, someone who's at least 10 ands big, you know he's sending her flying. You know that woman is ending up in a different dimension from a good toss from Donnie. Come on now, you know it's easy. And the thing is, say Anne survives the first one, what you gonna do with the second one? She doesn't have any healing. She doesn't have any ways to buff herself. She's not that durable. Like, she would get packed up. I'm not gonna lie, Donnie does that. And for Nasiens, I will agree. Ceranos horns. Like, we got Ceranos Amp Nasiens versus base Donnie. And I do think if that, this is why it's so matchup specific, right? Like, if Donnie gets caught in Wither or Belladonna before he activates his magic, I think Nasiens may have that, especially if he pops the Ceranos. Like, then he's got that. However, I think Donnie, knowing Nasiens at this point, would literally just be like, nope, and throw him. Because Nasiens, once again, doesn't have a counter for that. And if he comes back Ceranos amped, I know Ceranos amp was crazy, but, and you know, maybe this is like my fault as a power scaler here, I think Dornock is more impressive physically than Ceranos amp Nasiens. As crazy as Ceranos amp Nasiens was, I think he can still get thrown. And the thing is, once the Ceranos amp wears off, and it wears off pretty quickly, it, like, and I know you're going back to like the amp point, like, but didn't you say your Ceranos lasts long enough to beat it? Yes. So, but I think the Ceranos amp would last long enough to beat Anne, because Anne doesn't have any ways to stall that out. Meanwhile, Donnie could just keep throwing Nasiens until Ceranos wears off, he's debuffed, and then Donnie comes in and finishes the job. So, Donnie, he's a beast, put some respect on his name, give him some clout, dap him up, and keep it pushing. Honestly, Donnie, easy. Number 3. However, who's above Donnie? Let's find out with number 2. You know who it had to be. Big Papa Percival. Well, Tiny Papa Percival? I don't know. He's so small. But Percival, obvious, easy number 2. Like, take a look at him. Like, the dude's a beast. He has hope magic and now despair magic. Notably, the reason he's not number 1 is quite obvious. But if you want arguments for why he beats everybody beneath him, what is Anne going to do to Percival? Like, if he actually pops up and flexes with his magic, what is Anne going to do? Can she even pierce? Like, straight up, can she? Like, that bubble that they uses to land in the Silent Forest or the Mangled Woods or whatever. Like, can she even pierce his magic bubble? Like, I don't think so. I think she would legit just get overwhelmed. All he needs to, he could literally do the exact same thing he did the Pelgard round start with his magic. Like, he doesn't even have to harm her. He could just fire off a whole bunch of little mini hymns. They latch on to Anne. Hey yo, and then bada bing, bada boom, she's done. I don't see Anne busting out of that any way, shape, or form. And while Percival, she's definitely a better sword combatant than Percival, but this is where the whole idea of just the raw power gap. Like, Percival one-shot Talisker. Well, to be fair, he used Talisker's magic, but still, he managed to defeat Talisker. Holy Knight tier threat. Percival is going up against other beasts. He's essentially was about to solo the entire Tristan platoon if he got his hands on with that despair magic. So, honestly, Percy's just that dude. In terms of raw power, made Pelgard respect him. Pelgard wants to train him. Pelgard doesn't want to train anybody else. He's like, that green hair kid right there, he's something special. He's something special. I'll take him under my wing. He's able to, and I know, it isn't necessarily a feat, but he's able to, like, get thrown around and throw around red demon tier fighters, or, like, young red demon tier fighters. I don't know how old Ultramonte is. He doesn't even have a nose. But we're still, those kind of... But I feel like I don't need to do much of a feats arguments here. Percival's the main character, gosh darn, or 1 of 4. And also, his magic is just too broken. Once again, Anne has no answers to that level of demonic magic right there. So, definitely going to give Percival over Anne. Then, we're going to get into Donnie. Not Donnie. We'll save Donnie for next. We'll get into Nasiens versus Percival. Honestly, the hands there, I just... Like, Nasiens, once again, more skilled, could throw on the Ceranos amp, could use Wither, but... I still think Percy, once again, he has that raw power lead. And if he can coat his sword in magic to negate Wither, I'm assuming he could coat his body in magic. Like, if he just explodes with massive magic streams, I don't see Nasiens doing anything. Like, he would literally... Once again, it's the same thing with Anne. He would just get swarmed. And I don't think anything... And for a fact, we know that Nasiens' poisons can be absorbed by Percy's magic. Like, they've taken on the properties before. And I know Nasiens is very likely immune to all the poisons he produces, but that means the poison is never going to reach Percival. So Percival will literally just be mobbing in the cut through Nasiens' poison, and he takes the L on that one. Like, it's as simple as that. It's all over for him. And once again, just the raw power. Like, what's Nasiens supposed to do if Percival makes that giant magic blade over his weapon, gets the 10 times amp on top of that? Like, I really don't see it. Like, do you think Nasiens could beat Ceranos? like, just put that into perspective here. Do you think Nasiens or Anne could 1v1 Ceranos and win, even with their weapon amps? Personally, I don't think so. Personally, I don't think so. So yeah, I'm obviously gonna have to give that to Percy. Then with Donnie, the Donster. You could definitely argue he could do the exact same thing. I would argue he'd do to Nasiens and Anne and just keep eating them. But unlike Nasiens and Anne, Percy has ways to defend himself from that, taking the brunt force of the impact, and he can just keep healing. Like, there's nothing that Donnie has nothing that can definitively put Percival down. And if he tries to get too close, he will once again be swarmed by Percy's magic. And I don't think he has the raw strength to overcome that. And also, if Percival's in the air, flying around, moving and zooming and firing off, there's nothing Donnie can do. So, definitely going to have to give that one up to Percival. Now, we only have one left. Who could be mightier than our main character? Nani Daisuke, it could only be number 1. If you thought anyone other than Lance would be at the top of this list, I respect your opinion. And, I know, Percy's crazy. That death magic do be on burr, but it's Lance. It's Lance. The man destroyed a higher level chaotic dead, which literally made probably the main antagonist to Percy run away. They didn't even consider the fight. Supposedly a 7 deadly sins level threat is trusted by Meliodas more than Meliodas' own son. It is self-admitted by that's actually crazy. Nakaba literally threw that, he said, "Hey, yo, power skills, catch this." And we caught it, and we looked at what he threw it to us, and it was like, oh, Tristan says Lance is likely stronger than him. Stronger than the demon goddess hybrid that managed to no-sell Percival. Literally, hypothetically, the strongest Percival we've ever seen so far is Despair Percival. Let's be real. Either Despair Percival or Wild, Stupid, Crazy Hope Percival. And even still, did not matter. Tristan mopped that man, and Lancelot apparently mops Tristan. So Lance is definitely out there. Obviously, Tristan, Donnie, and Anne alongside Nasiens, Percival, Donnie, and Anne alongside Nasiens, they felt Fetish's presence, and it just he's so mighty, he just wants me. They were just blown away by the fact that this man, he was just so worthy and strong. They just couldn't help it. They were blown away. And what did Lance pull up and do? Bullied his whole squad, slaughtered every last one of them, proceeded to flex on Fetish for over a chapter, and then proceeded to get all the information out of him. Lance is a demon. He's easily the strongest. There's no comparison to be made here to anyone else, at least for now. Percy, will he likely surpass Lance or catch up to him at the very least? Of course, easily. I 100% believe Lance will stab Percy a couple times, tell him to get back up. Percy will get strong, get a whole bunch of Zenkai boosts, and catch up to Lance. But for right now, Lance has the best feats in the narrative. He's narratively implied to be the strongest out of the entire group so far, until we get to how strong Gawain is supposedly supposed to be. We have so many different implications that he's just a beast, son of Bon and Elaine, obviously a monster. Lady of the Lake trading. Every single thing, you could probably, I may do a whole versus battle on that, but you could literally throw the entire crew up against Lance, and I'm still confident Lance will win. He'd blitz all of them. He would blitz all of them and end them. Being completely real. Once again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. There were definitely some lost Four Knights candidates that Lance ended up burying because they ended up perishing. It'd be like that sometimes. And sometimes he may have had to put them in the ground himself. That's it. Honestly, I don't really need it. If you really want me to run the ones for Lance, I'll probably do a whole Lance Gauntlet video, because that man is a demon. But he's a fairy human hybrid. However, after that, let's get on to number 0. Sylvan. Alright, enough of that. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to leave your own list in the comment section down below. And thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure that little notification will miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I'll do a Patreon down below. We can support you for as low as $1 a month. Any support would be appreciated. Now, thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with a Pencil, writing off.